Expand your vocabulary with our core 2,000 words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Russian ebook before it's gone.
Welcome to RussianPod101.com's Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest and the most fun way to learn Russian. Привет, меня зовут Светлана. Очень приятно. Hi, I'm Svetlana. Nice to meet you. In this series, we're going to learn basic Russian expressions. It's super easy and it takes only 3 minutes. In this lesson, you are going to learn how to introduce yourself in Russian. There are a few ways to do so, depending on how formal you want to be. Let's first take a look at an informal way to introduce yourself in Russian. It's very short and simple. Привет, меня зовут Светлана. Очень приятно. Hi, I'm Svetlana. Nice to meet you. Привет, меня зовут Светлана. Очень приятно. Start with the greeting «Привет». Then you introduce yourself by saying «Меня зовут» and then your name «Меня зовут Светлана». Finally say «Nice to meet you». The simplified and very casual phrase for it is «Очень приятно». The whole phrase will be «Привет, меня зовут Светлана. Очень приятно». Now let's take a look at more formal version for greeting and self-introduction. It's a bit longer than the previous one. You ready? Here we go. Здравствуйте, меня зовут Светлана. Приятно познакомиться. Hello, my name is Svetlana. It's a pleasure to meet you. Здравствуйте, меня зовут Светлана. Приятно познакомиться. What has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a closer look at these together. First, we changed the greeting word «привет» to «здравствуйте». It's very formal and official greeting which can be used any time of the day, morning, afternoon, evening, or even at night. Luckily, the phrase you use to introduce your name stays the same. Меня зовут Светлана. Next, after giving your name, you say «приятно познакомиться». It's more formal, but can be used in informal greeting as well. It literally means it's a pleasure to meet you. Once more, the formal way to introduce yourself is «Здравствуйте, меня зовут Светлана. Приятно познакомиться». In the sentence «Меня зовут Светлана», «меня» is myself, and «зовут» is to be called. So the literal translation is I'm called Svetlana. Unlike English, where I would say, my name is Svetlana, in Russian we basically say, somebody calls me Svetlana. Interesting, huh? Now it's time for Svetlana's tips. It's common to shake hands both when you greet somebody and leave them in Russia. Handshaking is more common for men, but women also practice it a lot lately. And don't forget direct eye contact. It's very important in Russia. Good friends usually give hugs and kiss each other on the cheeks 3 times. Okay, that's it for this lesson. Do you know how to say thank you in Russian? You'll learn how to say this and many other words in next lesson. Пока-пока! До скорых встреч! See you soon! Привет всем! С вами Светлана. Hi everybody, I'm Svetlana. Welcome to RussianPod101.com's Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest and the most fun way to learn Russian. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Russian. Today we are going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. Готовы? Are you ready? Поехали! Then let's start. There are several ways to thank people. Let's start with the most common phrase «спасибо». Спасибо. Спасибо means thank you. To say thank you very much, you just need to add большое. Большое спасибо. Большое спасибо. Большое means big. In context, большое спасибо literally means big thanks. So when someone thanks you, how should you answer? There are several ways to respond to this phrase. One which is fairly close in translation to the English phrase "you're welcome" is "пожалуйста." It's very common in Russia, but we also use another phrase quite often, "не за что," which means not at all. The word "пожалуйста" means something like please in English. Пожалуйста. In English, it sounds a little bit strange to say please when somebody thanks you, right? But by using this word, you're indicating that you are pleased to be helpful. Не за что means more or less the same thing as пожалуйста, but offers a little more courtesy. Say не за что. Не за что. One which is fairly close in translation to the English phrase "you're welcome" is пожалуйста. It's very common in Russia, but we also use another phrase quite often, не за что, which means not at all. Now it's time for Svetlana's tips. When saying thank you in Russia, body language is very important. Спасибо is the universal word and can be used in both formal and informal cases. You can make it sound more formal just by changing your intonation, like this. Спасибо. Friends usually act more openly and even slap each other on the shoulder. In any case, it's very important that your thanks be accompanied with smile and again, direct eye contact. Спасибо. Good job! That's it for this lesson. By the way, do you know what "до свидания" means? In our next lesson, you'll learn these and other greetings in Russian. Всем спасибо. Пока-пока. Привет всем! С вами Светлана. Hi everybody, I'm Svetlana. Welcome to RussianPod101.com's Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest, and the most fun way to learn Russian. In the last lesson, we learned how to express gratitude with спасибо. In this lesson, we'll learn some of the most common greetings you'll use in Russian. Готовы? Are you ready? Поехали! Let's start. The most used informal greeting is Привет. Привет. Привет means hi or hello. We use this greeting when we meet friends, cousins, or close relatives. Please keep in mind that it's a very informal greeting. If you're not close to someone or he or she is older than you, you should not use this word. Here's a more formal way to greet people. Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. This is a very formal greeting that can be used any time of the day. As a variation, здравствуй can also be used. This is still a little casual, but much more formal than привет. Здравствуйте is actually a variation of здраво желаю, meaning I wish you health. So здравствуйте literally means I wish you to be healthy.
Здравствуй.
Russian also has equivalents to the English good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. They are доброе утро, добрый день, добрый вечер. They are similar to здравствуйте in politeness and formality. However, remember to use them at the proper time depending on whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening. Доброе утро, which means good morning, is usually used before 12 p.m. Доброе утро. The word добрый means kind. Russians don't say good morning, they say kind morning. The word утро means morning. So literally this phrase means kind morning to you. Very sweet. Добрый день can either mean good afternoon or good day. Since the word здравствуйте can be used at any time of the day, we will hear it more than добрый день. But it's still a phrase you should learn. Добрый день. The final greeting is добрый вечер, and we usually use it after 6 p.m. The word вечер literally means evening. Kind evening to you. Добрый вечер. Very easy, right? The usual way to say goodbye in almost any situation is «До свидания», which literally means till the next meeting. До свидания. If you're on casual terms with somebody, you may also use «пока», which means bye or see you later. Пока. The phrase you use when leaving someone in the evening or just before bed is «спокойной ночи». This phrase works both for formal and informal situations. «Спокойной ночи». You can now greet people in many different ways in Russia. Congratulations! Now it's time for Svetlana's tips. As I mentioned in our first lesson, Russians commonly greet each other by shaking hands or slightly nodding the head. What I want to add to this is that Russians are very superstitious people, so we never shake hands over the threshold between rooms. It's considered to be unlucky. So always go into the room first before shaking hands. Women usually kiss each other on the cheek 3 times, starting with the left cheek. Men hug and pat each other's backs. In the next lesson, we'll learn the meaning of the phrase «Извините, вы говорите по-английски?» Do you already know it? I'll be waiting to tell you about it in our next «Русский язык за 3 минуты» lesson. Пока-пока. See you! Привет всем! С вами Светлана. Hi everybody, I'm Svetlana. Welcome to RussianPod101.coms. Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest, and the most fun way to learn Russian. In the last lesson, we learned the most common forms of greetings in Russian. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we are going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation when you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you're asking it in Russian, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you are saying, even if the answer is no. Here's the informal way to say it. Ты говоришь по-английски? Ты говоришь по-английски? In Russian, verbs change depending on the pronoun that is used. The pronoun ты is the singular you in English. It is a very informal way to address people. Don't use it with complete strangers, especially if the person is older than you. I don't recommend that you use it during formal gatherings either, such as business meetings, conferences, and so on. The verb говоришь means speak in English. As I already mentioned, verbs usually change in Russian, according to the pronoun and time. The original form for the verb говоришь is говорить. To learn how to properly conjugate Russian verbs like говорить, please take a look at our Absolute Beginner series on RussianPod101.com. You can find very detailed grammar lessons and resources there. To make this sentence a question, we don't need to change the word order or anything like that. All we need is to change our intonation. You speak English is Ты говоришь по-английски. But do you speak English is Ты говоришь по-английски? A more polite way to ask this question in Russian is to use the pronoun вы, which is translated in English as the plural you. Remember, as we change the pronoun, we also need to conjugate the verb to match it. Говорить is conjugated to говорите. So the whole phrase in Russian will be Вы говорите по-английски? Вы говорите по-английски? The phrase по-английски stays the same. And you probably have already understood the meaning, right? It means in English. Very easy. By adding извините, excuse me, you make the sentence even more polite. Извините, вы говорите по-английски? Извините, вы говорите по-английски? The responses you might receive could be one of these 3. Да, yes. Да. Немного, a little. Немного. Нет, No. Нет. The full version for the negative sentence will be Нет, я не говорю по-английски. Since this is a negation, we need to add the particle не before the verb говорю. Notice also that the verb говорите changed. It changed to говорю because we used the pronoun I here. Я in Russian. Thus the phrase I do not speak English is Я не говорю по-английски. Now it's time for Svetlana's tips. For those of you who are not native English speakers, don't worry. You can of course use this question with any language you need. Many other European and Asian languages are also popular in Russia. So maybe you will get lucky. Just substitute по-английски with по-немецки for German, по-испански for Spanish, по-китайски for Chinese, по-японски for Japanese. Great! In this lesson we mentioned the expression извините. But did you know that this can also be used as an apology? In the next lesson we'll learn this and other ways to apologize in Russian. It's never too late to show your good manners towards Russian people. I'll see you in our next русский язык за 3 минуты lesson. Пока-пока! Привет всем! С вами Светлана. Hi everybody, I'm Svetlana. Welcome to RussianPod101.com. Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest, and the most fun way to learn Russian. In the last lesson we learned the phrase «Извините, вы говорите по-английски?» Excuse me, do you speak English? We mentioned the word «извините», which means excuse me in Russian. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use извините and other words when apologizing in Russian. We usually use извините when we want to draw somebody's attention. Perhaps you want to order something in the restaurant or simply ask the time. For example, извините, который час? Excuse me, what time is it? The other meaning of извините is to say I'm sorry for something you've done or haven't done. The word извините derives from the word вина, which means guilt in English. You use it when you feel guilty for bothering somebody or causing some problem. The word извините is used in its formal polite form. The informal version for it is извини. It can also be used in 2 ways as mentioned, but is mostly used in the sense of regret and apology. Извини refers to the informal pronoun you in its singular form. In other words, you would use it when speaking to a person you would address with the pronoun ты. Another informal word for an apology is прости, which has almost the same meaning as извини, but with a slightly higher level of regret. It derives from the verb прощать, which means forgive. So literally this word is translated as forgive me. So the formal way to say forgive me in Russian would be простите or прошу прощения. The meaning of both phrases is almost the same. Простите is an imperative verb which literally means forgive me. Прошу прощения means I am asking you to forgive me. This phrase is a bit more polite than простите. As you might have guessed, the word прошу means I ask. You can add the word пожалуйста, please, to your apology to make it even more polite and sincere. Простите, пожалуйста. Извините, пожалуйста. Excuse me, please. Okay, great. Now it's time for Svetlana's tips. If you accidentally bump somebody, any of the phrases mentioned in this lesson would be fine for an apology. Just don't say nothing or ignore the other person because you might get a very angry reaction and be yelled at in front of everybody. Russians can be very short-tempered and emotional, but will not usually harbor resentment if you admit your mistake. It is always easier to say a simple word of apology straight away rather than try to cool an angry Russian down. Okay, that's it for this lesson. Can you count in Russian? In the next lesson, we'll learn the numbers from 1 to 10. I'll be waiting for you in our next «Русский язык за 3 минуты» lesson. Пока-пока! Привет всем! С вами Светлана. Hi everybody, I'm Svetlana. Welcome to RussianPod101.com's Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest, and the most fun way to learn Russian. In the last lesson, we learned some words used when apologizing in Russian, including извините and простите. In this lesson, we are going to learn numbers in Russian. Yes, numbers, числа, from 1 to 10. And you're going to learn them in only 3 minutes. 3 минуты. Are you ready? Let's start. Один. Один. Два. Два. Три. Три. Четыре. Четыре. Пять. Пять. Шесть. Шесть. Семь. Семь. Восемь. Восемь. Девять. Девять. Десять. Десять. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. Один. Два. Три. Четыре. Пять. Шесть. Семь. Восемь. Девять. Десять. Great job! What comes before один? Do you know? It is 0. Ноль. Ноль. You don't have any more excuses. Now you can give friends your cell phone number in Russian. Let's try together. We'll use the phrase «мой номер телефона», which means my telephone number is. Мой номер телефона. Мой номер телефона 8 9 2 4 5 7 1 3 6 10. Can you read it by yourself? 8 9 2 4 5 7 1 3 6 10. Perfect! Now it's time for Svetlana's tips. Numbers are used everywhere. Usually when Russians say phone numbers, they combine the single numbers into tens and hundreds. But if it's a short number that contains less than 6 numerals, it's usually pronounced as the separate digits. Learn your numbers well, so you can be ready for real-life situations. Do you know the Russian word for 100? It's very simple and we'll learn it very soon. In the meantime, your job is to practice the numbers we studied in this lesson, from 1 to 10. Пока-пока! До скорого! See you soon! Привет всем! С вами Светлана. Hi everybody, I'm Svetlana. Welcome to RussianPod101.com's Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest, and the most fun way to learn Russian. In the last lesson, we learned the numbers from 1 to 10. Do you remember them? I'll remind you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now let's continue from 11. 11. 11, 12, 12, 13, 13, 14, 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, and finally we have 20, 20. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. These numbers may seem harder to remember and pronounce than those in the previous lesson, but as you have probably noticed, the endings are the same. 19. The suffix "цать" is the modified word for 10. 10. Цать. Counting from 15 till 19, you simply eliminate the last letter from the original word and add 19. In the case of 14, you eliminate the letter "е". Let's not stop at 20. Let's learn how to count up to 100. First, I'll give you the tens. 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, 70, 80, 80, 90, 90, 100, 100. Remember I told you that the suffix "цать" means 10? Well, we have another modification for 10. It is десят. It is almost the same as the original word for 10, 10. In most cases, you simply add the number in front of it to multiply it by 10. 8, 8, plus десят, 10, is 80, 80. Easy! The word for 100 is also super easy. It's 100. I don't think you'll have any problems with this one. The last thing to learn today is how to form compound numbers above 20. Just take the tens and simply add the numbers you learned in the previous lesson. Let's try it out. How would you say 56 in Russian? Let's take it step by step. 50 is 50, and then add 6, 6, 56. It's done. Very easy, right? Let's make another number. For instance, 23. Take 20, 20, and add 3, 3. So we get 23. See? After only 2 lessons, you are now able to count to 100 in Russian. In the next lesson, we are going to put your number knowledge to use. Do you think you can go shopping in Russia now? If not, I'll be waiting for you in our next «Русский язык за 3 минуты» lesson. Пока-пока! До скорого! Привет всем! С вами Светлана. Hi everybody, I'm Svetlana. Welcome to RussianPod101.com's Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest, and the most fun way to learn Russian. In the last lesson, we learned how to count in Russian. I hope you spent some time practicing the numbers, because they will come in handy today. Now we are going to learn how to go shopping in Russia. So you see something you like, and you want to ask the shop assistant how much it is. The first thing to say is «Извините». Do you remember the meaning? Right. Excuse me. Извините, сколько это стоит? Извините, сколько это стоит? Let's break it down to work out the meaning of these new words. Сколько means how much or how many. As you can see, it can be used both with countable nouns like people and uncountable nouns like time. The next word is это, which means this or that. And the last one is стоит, cost. If you want to be more specific when asking how much is this and refer to a certain type of object, you just need to drop the word это and place the object after the verb стоит. For example, сколько стоит хлеб? How much is the bread? Or сколько стоит мороженое? How much is the ice cream? But remember that Russian verbs change according to the noun. In this case, we have to be careful about using the nouns in plural and singular forms. For example, if we use the noun candies, which is plural, the verb will change. Извините, сколько стоят конфеты? Excuse me, how much are the candies? Извините, сколько стоят конфеты? As you might already know, the national currency in Russia is rubles, рубль, or рубли in the plural. So now let's hear the shop assistant's answer. He or she could answer by saying хлеб стоит 20 рублей. Мороженое стоит 15 рублей. Or конфеты стоят 50 рублей. Here comes our numbers. I'm sure you remember them and can easily understand the answer. Great job! Now it's time for Svetlana's tips. The prices in big shopping malls and department stores are mostly fixed. These shops may have some seasonal discounts or campaigns. But the prices in Russian markets, рынок or bazar, are very flexible. They really depend on your speaking and bargaining skills. People at these places are generally very open and friendly, and usually more than happy to find the most appropriate price to please both sides. He or she might even invite you in to have a drink. But always be aware of pickpockets and thieves. There are a lot of them in Russian markets. Do you know how to use Russian currency? We're going to learn how to do this and much more in the next lesson. I will see you soon in our next русский язык за 3 минуты lesson. Пока-пока!
Hello and welcome to Ask a Teacher. My name's Lina and here we'll talk about the most common questions you have about the Russian language. And today's question is, what's the Russian alphabet called and where does it come from? Russian uses a writing system called Cyrillic script. Besides Russia, Cyrillic script is used in parts of Europe and Central Asia, although each country has its own modified Cyrillic script. There are 33 letters in the Russian alphabet, 10 vowels, 21 consonants, and 2 other signs, which don't have a sound on their own. What those 2 other signs do is they modify the consonant sound that comes before them. So there's a hard sign and a soft sign. Cyrillic script got its name from the Byzantine missionary Saint Cyril. He and his brother Methodius created the older Glagolitic alphabet. Cyrillic script was used together with the literary Old Church Slavonic language. Its early writings date back to the 9th century. In the 18th century, Peter the Great revised the Cyrillic script. He created new standardized letter forms, which were closely modeled on the Western Latin letter forms. Later on, Russian alphabet underwent a few other reforms, and 2 of them happened quite recently, in the 20th century. It's worth mentioning that the Russian you see in newspapers and on TV is not quite the same Russian you'll see written with pen and paper. This is because Russian people often write in cursive. And just like English cursive letters may look somewhat very different from print, so do Russian letters. Keep that in mind if you see something written down that looks quite unfamiliar to you. So how was it? Pretty interesting, right? I wonder if you have more questions to ask me. Do leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. До встречи! See you soon! Hi everyone, and welcome to Ask a Teacher. I'm Lena, and I'm here to answer the most common questions you send us about the Russian language. And the question for today is, what are the differences between Russian and English sentence structures? The most obvious difference between Russian and English sentence structure is word order. English has a fixed order of subject, verb, and object. Russian is a lot more flexible. In Russian, you can place an object both before and after the verb. Take the sentence I don't know him. Я не знаю его. Here, его, him, is an object. It can be placed before the verb Я его не знаю, after the verb Я не знаю его, and even in the very beginning of the sentence Его я не знаю. All these sentences would be perfectly grammatically correct and would mean one and the same thing. At first, it may seem simple and even convenient to be able to switch the words around. However, the reason Russian sentences make sense, no matter how you shuffle the words around, is that the words themselves carry a lot of grammar nuances. If you need to convey a grammar nuance, you make a change to the word, not the whole structure. And this change can be made with the help of suffixes, prefixes, or endings. Almost all Russian words can be changed. Let's see how Russian nouns can be changed. Russian nouns decline depending on 6 grammar cases. You decline a noun when you need to change it from its initial or nominative form to some other form. For example, the word палочки, chopsticks, is an initial form. It can be used in a sentence like this. Вот мои палочки. Here are my chopsticks. To say that you eat sushi with chopsticks, you change the word палочки into палочками. I eat sushi with chopsticks. Я ем суши палочками. So you take out the ending «и» and replace it with the ending «ами». Палочки палочками. Палочками is an instrumental case of the word палочки. As you can see, the change is made with the help of an ending, not with the help of preposition, as in English. Nouns can also change according to gender, masculine, feminine or neuter, and according to number, singular or plural. Adjectives and some pronouns can undergo the same changes as nouns. But don't you be scared. In some ways, Russian is even easier than English. First, there are no articles in Russian, as opposed to English, and some other languages like Spanish or French, which even have gender articles. Secondly, there are only 3 verb tenses in Russian, a lot fewer than English has. In English, in the present tense, for an action that happens regularly, you'd say, I played basketball. And for an action that is happening right this moment, you'd say, I am playing basketball. In Russian, instead of these 2 structures, you only need to use one. Я играю в баскетбол. And then you can specify. Я играю в баскетбол каждый день. I play basketball every day. И я играю в баскетбол сейчас. I'm playing basketball right now. Another thing that makes learning Russian is just a bit easier is that there are no auxiliary verbs in Russian. Words like do, have, or be. Of course, we do have all these basic words in Russian. The thing is that they don't act like auxiliaries in the sentences. In English, if you need to make a negative out of a statement, you need to carefully choose the right form of the auxiliary verb, do for example, and make changes to the word order. So, he liked ice cream in its negative form becomes he didn't like ice cream. We like ice cream becomes we don't like ice cream. And the baby likes ice cream becomes the baby doesn't like ice cream, and so on. In Russian, all you need to do is use one and the same word не, which can be translated into English as not. This word не can be placed in front of any word in the sentence, and that alone will make the sentence negative. So, он любил мороженое. He liked ice cream. Он не любил мороженое. He didn't like ice cream. Мы любим мороженое. We like ice cream. Мы не любим мороженое. We don't like ice cream. Ребенок любит мороженое. The baby likes ice cream. Ребенок не любит мороженое. The baby doesn't like ice cream. Easy. Lastly, just like with negatives, to turn a statement into a question, in English, you need to change the entire structure. In Russian, all you need to change is intonation. So in English, you are going to work tomorrow becomes are you going to work tomorrow? In Russian, you don't have to move the words around. All you need to do is change your intonation and the statement becomes a question. Like this. Ты идешь на работу завтра. You are going to work tomorrow. Ты идешь на работу завтра? Are you going to work tomorrow? So how was it? Pretty interesting, right? Do send me some more questions about the Russian language usage, and I'll be happy to answer them. До встречи! See you soon! Hi everyone! Lina's here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, a place where you'll get answers to your most common Russian questions. The question for today is, can you tell us about the Russian language and where it's spoken? Sure, I can. I'm glad people ask this question before they start learning Russian. It's good to have understanding of what you're learning before jumping straight into memorizing words and phrases. Russian is an East Slavic language with over 250 million native speakers around the world. Let me give you a brief introduction of the history of the Russian language. Russian is pretty old. It goes back to around 1st-2nd centuries BC and comes from a combination of dialects from the Indo-European language family. The first origins of Russian come from Russia's literary language, Old Slavonic. Around the same time, the 1st-2nd centuries BC, the first Slavic alphabet was created by two Greek missionaries and philologists, Cyril and his brother Methodius. Later that language was split into Russian, Ukrainian and Belarusian, which you can hear spoken today. Later, in the 17th, 18th centuries, Peter the Great played a big role in the formation of the modern-day Russian by combining its Slavic written language with Russian everyday spoken language. Russian is not only the official language of Russia, but also of many other post-Soviet countries, such as Belarus, Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. It's also widely spoken in the Ukraine, Moldova, the Baltic states, and many other former Soviet Union countries. As you can see, learning Russian doesn't limit you to Russia only. It opens up new opportunities to speak to other people from many different countries. Pretty interesting, right? Do you have any more questions? Please leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them. До встречи! See you soon! Hi everyone, Lina here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Russian questions. The question for today is, what's palatalization in Russian? And what's the difference between a soft sign and a hard sign? First off, what's palatalization? I know it sounds complicated, but most Russians know it simply as the softening of consonants. Palatalization is basically a way of pronouncing certain consonants. When you move your tongue from the back of your teeth to the center of the roof of your mouth, the palate, and that move will soften your consonants. You can hear that softening in the English word new, for example. Let's do some examples so that you could understand the notion of consonant softening. In English, the hard pronunciation of the sound n is heard in the word nook. When you pronounce the word nook, the tip of your tongue is right behind your upper teeth. In the word new, the sound n is palatalized or softened, and that means that the tongue is lying flatly in the middle of the roof of your mouth. In Russian, palatalization or softness can be achieved by two means. First, you can palatalize your consonants by the vowels that follow them. In Russian, there are 10 vowels that come in hard and soft pairs. A, ya, I, O, yo, E, ye, U, you. So the soft vowels are ya, I, you, yo, ye, and the hard vowels are a, I, U, O, E. So, if a consonant is followed by one of the soft vowels, it's considered palatalized. Let's take, for example, the Russian name Katya. In this name, the sound K is hard and not palatalized because it's followed by the hard vowel R. However, T is soft and palatalized because it's followed by the counterpart of the sound A, ya, Katya. The second case, when you can hear a palatalized consonant, is when it's followed by a soft sign. A soft sign is a letter without its own pronunciation. What this letter does is it softens or palatalizes the sound preceding it. Let's compare two words, mel, chalk, and mel, sandbar or shoal. Can you hear the softened l at the end of the mel? That's what the soft sign does. Now, if there's a soft sign, there also must be a hard sign, right? In Russian, a hard sign doesn't have its own pronunciation either. What hard sound does, it separates a consonant and a soft vowel in a word. For example, let's take the word отъели. They ate something. If we didn't have a hard sign between the sounds t and ye, we would end up with the word отели, which sounds different and means hotels. Well, how was it? Pretty interesting, right? Do you have any more questions to ask me? Leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. До встречи! See you soon! Hello everyone, Lena here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Russian questions. The question for this lesson is, how hard is it to learn Russian? The Foreign Service Institute, or FSI, created a scale to show how long it takes to get to professional level proficiency in speaking a foreign language for a native English speaker. Russian is a Category 3 language. That means it has significant differences from English. It takes a bit longer to learn than, say, Spanish or Italian, which have very similar writing systems to English. According to this scale, Russian takes approximately 44 weeks, or 1,100 hours of study, but this will of course vary from person to person. The hardest part about Russian is grammar. There are many factors you have to consider when making a sentence, such as gender, number, suffixes and prefixes. With nouns, we have to be mindful of how they decline depending on the 6 Russian cases. With verbs, you have to be mindful of the imperfective and perfective forms, which are verb aspects that indicate whether an action is ongoing or has already been completed. For example, the word dog is feminine, собака, and the word cat is masculine, кот. If you want to say, I love my dog and I love my cat, you'll have to use different endings for the nouns. Я люблю свою собаку, but я люблю своего кота, respectively. You can see that even the pronoun my, свой, will change for these sentences because of the animals' genders. But there are many things about learning Russian that are easier than you think. Here are a couple of other facts about Russian that you will like. First, there are not many exceptions or special cases, such as irregular verbs or strange spellings. Also, there's no strict word order in Russian. And even if you're not familiar with Russian grammar, you can put the words in the sentence in almost any order, and a native Russian speaker should be able to understand you. So Russian, just like any other language, has its own difficulties. But if you give it time and dedication, you should be well on your way to getting where you want to be. Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. До встречи! See you soon! Hi everyone, Lena here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Russian questions. The question for this lesson is, what is verb conjugation and what to consider when conjugating a verb? Verb conjugation is a change in the form of the verb depending on the number and person. Just like in English, there are 3 grammatical persons in Russian. For singular, they are я, I, ты, you, он, она, оно, he, she, it. For plural, they are мы, we, вы, you, они, they. So, to conjugate a verb, you need to change their personal ending. For example, я читаю, I'm reading. Он читает, he reads. Дети читают, the children are reading. If we know how to conjugate the verb, we can avoid spelling mistakes, which are common in the unstressed personal endings of the verbs. For example, the verb читаете, you are reading. Which is the right vowel to put here? Е or И? In rapid speech, Е and И in the unstressed position sound the same. But if you know the right conjugation of the verb читать, you wouldn't hesitate. Е is the right vowel to put here. Читаете. In Russian, there are 2 conjugations. The vowel Е is mostly used in the endings of the first conjugation verbs. The vowel I is mostly used in the endings of the second conjugation verbs. Let's explore the typical endings of the first conjugation verbs. First person singular, у, you. Second person singular, ешь, ешь. Third person singular, ед, ет. First person plural, ем, ем. Second person plural, ете, ете. Third person plural, ут, ют. Now let's take a look at the typical endings of the second conjugation verbs. First person singular, у, you. Second person singular, иш. Third person singular, it. First person plural, им. Second person plural, ите. Third person plural, at, ят. Let's conjugate the verb читать, meaning to read, which is a first conjugation verb in Russian. Я читаю, I'm reading. Ты читаешь, you are reading. Он читает, he is reading. Мы читаем, we are reading. Вы читаете, You are reading. Они читают. They are reading. So the pattern here is to remove the ending «т» from the infinitive form of the verb you'll find in a dictionary and add the appropriate ending of the first conjugation. The infinitives of the first conjugation verbs usually end in ать, ять, оть, еть, уть, and so on. Let's move to the second conjugation verbs and conjugate the verb учить, which means to teach, to learn, or to study. Я учу. I teach. Ты учишь. You teach. Он учит. He teaches. Мы учим. We teach. Вы учите. You teach. Они учат. They teach. The pattern here is once again to remove the ending it from the infinitive form of the verb and add the appropriate ending of the second conjugation to the remaining base uch. Most verbs ending in it are the second conjugation verbs. There are a few exceptions, such as the verbs брить, to shave, and слышать, to hear. Now you can easily conjugate the verbs by looking up their infinitive forms in the dictionary and making changes to the endings. The verbs in different aspects and moods conjugate in the same way. For example, if you come across the verb прочитаете, you shouldn't be confused by the prefix про in front of the verb читаете. You should just look up the infinitive form of the verb прочитать and conjugate it in the same way you would conjugate the verb читать. The trick's done. Conjugating verbs may seem difficult, but starting practicing with the basic verbs will certainly make you proficient and confident in a short time. Pretty interesting, right? If you have more questions, leave them in the comments below. До встречи! See you soon! Hi everyone, Lina here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Russian questions. The question for today is, how to tell the gender of a noun? In Russian, the gender of nouns is determined by the endings, suffixes, and some other indicators. However, you can accurately tell the gender of a noun only if it's in a singular number of the nominative case. Let me try to explain to you how it all works. Masculine nouns, names included, usually have at their end either a consonant, including y, or a soft sign, which, as you remember, doesn't have a sound of its own. For example, круг, circle, гость, guest, чай, tea, Ivan, that's a Russian male name. It's important to mention that diminutive or short Russian male names usually end in a vowel, in either a or ya. For example, the diminutive of the name Anton is Antosha. The diminutive of Dmitry is Dima. The diminutive of Mikhail is Misha. And diminutive of Ivan is Vanya. Feminine nouns, names included, usually end with either a vowel or a soft sign. For example, книга, book, земля, land, мать, mother, Елена, that's a Russian female name. And feminine nouns usually have the suffix ost. Радость, happiness, верность, loyalty, честность, honesty. Finally, neuter nouns have vowels o, ye, and yo as their endings. For example, окно, window, зелье, potion, ружье, rifle. Certain suffixes can also serve as gender indicators. For example, the typical masculine suffixes are тель, онок, and ёнок. Строитель, builder, оттенок, tint, котенок, kitten. And now we'll talk a bit about the cases when adjectives act as nouns. The examples of this are караульный, guard, столовая, dining room, сладкое, sweets. Again, similarly to the regular nouns, such words have typical endings. The masculine ending is «ый», with the consonant at the end, караульный. The feminine ending is «ая», with the vowel at the end, столовая. The neuter ending is «оя», with the vowel «е» at the end, сладкое. You may find an etymological dictionary to be a very useful tool in mastering Russian genders. This kind of a dictionary explains the meaning and the origin of the words and has all the nouns tagged with their respective genders. Pretty interesting, right? If you have more questions, please leave a comment below. До встречи! See you soon!
Hi! Welcome to Introduction to Russian. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Katya. In this series, you'll learn everything you need to know to get started learning Russian.
That's right, and we're here to help guide you through your journey. In this lesson, you'll learn the reasons you should start learning a new language, why you should learn Russian in particular, and how to get started.
Let's begin with the most obvious question. Why learn a new language?
There are countless reasons, but perhaps the biggest one of all is that it could actually change your life. Learning a new language unlocks new pathways that are off limits to you now. There are certain things that you simply cannot do without having the technical or cultural skills that come from learning a new language.
Like working or living in another country.
Knowing another language provides you with greater job opportunities. You have the freedom to move to another country halfway around the world and be able to earn a living, or even better yet, build a career from it, instead of just being stuck in one place. Language allows you to visit or live in places that you may never have even considered going simply because that wasn't a possibility for you. Knowing another language simply gives you more options to choose from.
And learning a new language also helps you to be more open-minded and see the world from a new perspective.
Language and culture go hand in hand. The world is a big place, and by broadening your understanding of other cultures, it allows you to be more empathetic and understanding of the many different ways that people live their lives. With language, you're able to see and experience more, which helps you to grow as a person.
Learning a new language also improves your memory.
Several studies have consistently shown that those who study another language have improved memory as opposed to those who didn't learn another language. Learning another language also keeps your brain healthy by significantly delaying the onset of Alzheimer's and dementia. This difference can be as much as 4 to 5 more years of quality life.
And those are just some of the reasons you should learn another language. The list just goes on and on.
Now you know the benefits of studying another language, but why should you learn Russian in particular?
Everybody knows that Russia is the largest country in the world. But did you also know that Russian is one of the most widely spoken languages in the world too?
Russian isn't only spoken in Russia. It's actually the official language of many other countries like Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and the list just goes on and on.
And unofficially, it's also widely spoken in Ukraine, Latvia, Estonia, and many other Slavic countries. In fact, Russian is part of the larger family of Slavic languages that are all very similar to each other, akin to super languages like Chinese and Spanish. There are around 300 million Russian speakers worldwide.
And its importance as a language can be seen globally, as it's one of the official languages of the United Nations. All meetings and official documents drafted by the United Nations are spoken and written in Russian.
Learning Russian also opens up many other business opportunities, as Russia leads the world in many industries, such as mechanical engineering, refining, shipbuilding, automotive, aerospace, microelectronics, and much, much more.
What about the poetics of the Russian language itself? In the words of the 16th century Emperor of Rome, Charles V, I speak to God in Spanish, to friends in French, to my enemies in German, and to women in Italian.
And to that, the Russian polymath Mikhail Lomonosov famously added that if he'd known Russian, he could speak to all of the former because Russian has the grandeur of Spanish, the vivacity of French, the strength of German, the gentleness of Italian,
and in addition to that, the wealth and brevity of Latin in Greek.
Indeed, Russian is one of the most interesting languages in the world. It's the king of Slavic languages. It's been said by language learners that if you learn this language, you can easily learn any other language in the world, no matter how difficult it may seem. Okay then, we've talked about why you should start learning a language and why you should start learning Russian in particular, but how should they get started, Katya?
Well, it's as simple as learning your first word in Russian and building up from there.
The good news, though, is that you already know some Russian.
Respect, fail, good.
As you can see, Russian is much closer to English than it seems initially, because it has had ties to English and English expressions for some 200 years.
Let's teach you something that you might not know. Здравствуйте. This is a common Russian greeting that roughly translates to hello or how are you? Здравствуйте.
That's a useful phrase. Can you explain a little bit about what these symbols are, though?
Sure. Much like how English uses the Latin script in its writing, Russian uses another type of script called the Cyrillic script, and those symbols are actually letters of the Russian alphabet. And similar to English, one letter usually corresponds to one sound in Russian.
We'll introduce you to the writing system in episode 4 of this series. For now, let's put up some Roman transcription so you can follow along.
Здравствуйте.
Repeat after Katya.
Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте.
Russian has a lot of consonant clusters like the ones found in this greeting, but don't let that intimidate you. Pronounce each consonant going from one to the next without adding any extra vowel sounds. Start off slowly and read them in the correct order.
Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте.
We can also abbreviate this phrase to make it more casual.
Здравствуй. Just remove the last syllable te to say hello casually to a friend or relative. Здравствуй. Здравствуй.
Well done. Now you know how to greet someone in Russian. We've covered a lot of things already, so why don't we wrap up the first lesson and recap on what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned that studying another language has many benefits, such as providing new job and business opportunities. Russian is spoken by hundreds of millions of people worldwide and is one of the official languages of the United Nations. And to greet someone in Russian, it's
Здравствуйте.
In the next lesson, we're going to demystify Russian pronunciation by taking a look at the sounds of Russian, so be sure to watch the next video. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
Bye.
Hi! Welcome to Introduction to Russian. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Katya.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Russian pronunciation. Russian pronunciation is arguably easier to learn than English. Consider the following English words. The first word is pronounced colonel, not colonel. The second word is pronounced arise. Adding an N, however, doesn't give you arisen, but arisen. The last word is pronounced ate, but adding an H doesn't give you hate. Instead, it becomes height. English is notorious for being a difficult language to learn, and it can be very frustrating for learners due to the fact that its pronunciation rules often don't make a lot of sense.
Russian, on the other hand, can seem like a blessing when compared to English. Дуб, вода, дом. Russian is primarily pronounced as it's spelled. There are some exceptions, but they're governed by more defined rules compared to English. Even long words, like the greeting you learned in the previous lesson, are largely pronounced as written. Здравствуйте. All you need to learn now then are the sounds of Russian.
There are many vowel and consonant sounds in Russian. Luckily, Russian puts its letters into two main categories of sounds, hard and soft.
There are a total of 10 vowels in Russian, and they're divided equally. There are 5 hard vowels, which are a little similar to English. A, E, U, O, U. And 5 soft vowels. These are vowels that have a netted glide or Y-like quality, making them sound softer. Я, Е, И, Ё, Ю. Please note, though, that the number of vowel sounds do not equal the number of vowel letters. There are actually more vowel sounds than represented by letters.
Similar to vowels, consonant sounds can also be hard or soft.
B, B, V, V, D, D, Z, Z.
Unlike vowels, though, consonants aren't differentiated into separate letters based on their hardness or softness alone. A single consonant letter is used to represent two sounds, one hard
M,
and one soft.
M.
This is because Russian is actually read in blocks. We use the closest vowel which comes after the consonant to indicate whether to pronounce the consonant hard or soft. If the consonant is followed by a hard vowel, then the consonant is also pronounced hard.
Ма, масло.
On the other hand, if the consonant is followed by a soft vowel, then the consonant is also pronounced soft.
Мя, мясо.
The many contrasts between hard and soft consonant and vowels is what gives Russian its distinct gliding sound.
We saw before how a relationship exists between letters and sounds based on their hardness. Voicing is another quality that's important to be aware of when learning Russian pronunciation.
Voicing simply refers to whether or not your vocal cords are vibrating or not vibrating. English has voiced pairs as well. Consider the following letters: P, B, T, D, K, G. Do you notice the relationship between these letters? The letters in each pair are pronounced exactly the same, the only difference being that one requires your vocal cords to vibrate and the other to not vibrate. Sounds that do not require vibration of the vocal cords, like all the ones on the left-hand side, are considered voiceless, while sounds that do require vibration of the vocal cords, like all the ones on the right-hand side, are considered voiced. Consider the following example in Russian. This letter is pronounced
G. But this word here isn't pronounced bog, but bog. Notice how the letter G is written, which is a voiced letter, but is actually pronounced as the letter K, a voiceless letter.
So what ended up happening? The final consonant is a voiced consonant, but when the word is being pronounced, the letter is actually read using the voiceless counterpart instead.
This occurs to all words that end in the final consonant in Russian. Final consonants are pronounced voiceless. So despite what's written, always pronounce the final consonant in Russian using the voiceless version. B, zub, z, без. The key to perfecting Russian pronunciation is to master hard and soft pairs and voiced pairs.
Unlike many other languages, Russian pronunciation is heavily affected by sounds that are adjacent to each other, often adopting the sound qualities of the letters that surround them.
Once you understand the concept and the relationship between hard and soft pairs and voiced pairs, Russian pronunciation actually becomes quite logical and easy to learn.
Okay, let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, we introduced you to some important concepts for learning Russian pronunciation. You learned that there are hard and soft pairs in Russian, about voiced pairs in Russian, and that letters can adopt these sound qualities. If you're interested in learning more about Russian pronunciation, check out the entire course we created named The Ultimate Guide to Russian Pronunciation. In that course, we cover and break down every single sound in the Russian language, showing you mouth and tongue positioning and giving you tips to help you perfect your Russian pronunciation. In the next lesson, we'll introduce you to the basics of Russian grammar, where you'll learn about Russian word order and how to build basic phrases in Russian. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
Bye!
Hi! Welcome to Introduction to Russian. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Katya.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Russian grammar. Word order refers to the order in which words are structured to form a sentence in a given language. Consider the English sentence, I ate an apple. But first, let's remove the article an here for simplicity, so we're just left with I ate apple. The basic word order for English is subject, verb, object, or SVO for short. If we break down the English sentence, I ate apple, we can see that the subject I is presented first, followed by the verb ate, and then finally the object apple is positioned last. This is the basic word order for sentences in English.
Russian uses the same word order as English, SVO. Парень купил собаку. Парень, the subject, a guy, goes first. Купил, the verb bought, goes second. And собаку, the object dog, goes last. This means that you can create any basic sentence in Russian simply by exchanging the English words for Russian words using a dictionary and still be understood. Isn't that easy?
In fact, Russian word order is much more flexible than English. Compare the following examples. Cats eat mice. If we were to swap the subject with the object, we'd get mice eat cats. As you can see, the SVO word order in English is fixed. Changing the word order changes the meaning of the sentence completely.
Russian, on the other hand, is much more flexible. Starting with the SVO word order, кошки едят мышей. We can swap the subject with the object like we did for English, and yet, мышей едят кошки. The meaning of the sentence remains the same. In fact, we could swap the sentence any which way, and it still wouldn't change the core meaning of the sentence.
Unlike English, Russian doesn't rely on the word order of the sentence to signify if a word is the subject or an object, because it uses special word endings that act as markers to indicate the role of the word in the sentence.
In this example, we use the word ending "ей" in мышей to indicate that mice is the object of the sentence. And so we can move it around anywhere in the sentence and it still be the object.
Now you know how to create basic sentences in Russian, but how do you make a sentence negative?
Negation in Russian is easy. Just add "не", meaning no, before the verb. Он спит. Он не спит. Я знаю. Я не знаю. Unlike English, Russian permits double negatives. So in English, you would say nothing happened. But in Russian, we would say nothing didn't happen. Ничего не произошло.
You can form many basic negative sentences in Russian by placing no before the verb. Turning a sentence into a question in Russian is even easier than turning it into a negative sentence.
Simply raise your pitch at the end of the question as you would in English.
Unlike English, though, you do not need to rearrange the order of any words. Simply say the sentence and raise the pitch at the end.
Ты понимаешь? Ты понимаешь?
To ask more than yes or no questions, you'll need to learn question words. Some common question words are
Что? Как? Кто? Какой? Когда?
We'll cover more of this in future lessons on Russian grammar. Well done! Let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned that Russian sentences can be formed using an SVO word order, just like English. Additionally, Russian uses markers to indicate the role of a word in a sentence, which allows the word order to be much more flexible. You make a negative sentence by adding no before the verb. And to create basic questions in Russian, simply add a question mark and raise your pitch at the end of a sentence. We've covered only the absolute basics of Russian grammar. If you're interested in learning more, check out our Russian in 3 minutes video series. In that course, we teach you useful phrases while covering the fundamentals of Russian grammar, and each lesson is only 3 minutes long. In the next lesson, we'll introduce you to the basics of Russian writing. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
Bye!
Hi! Welcome to Introduction to Russian. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Katya.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Russian writing. Russian is written using letters from the Cyrillic script, one of the most widely used writing systems in the world.
The Russian alphabet consists of 33 letters. These are 10 vowels. Of these, 5 are hard vowels and 5 are soft vowels. There are 21 consonants and 2 special letters which aid in designating hardness and softness. These letters do not produce sounds on their own. They merely augment the sound of a preceding letter.
Like English, Russian has upper and lowercase letters. Most letters look identical to each other, and the only difference is their size.
You can learn about each individual letter and get some insights into each letter and how to properly write it in our Learn Russian Writing video series. In that series, Svetlana breaks the alphabet down in the easiest way for you to learn. We'll link to this series at the end of the video.
Russian is written from left to right, just like English. Also similar to English, Russian is written in cursive letters when handwritten. It's called rapid or running script in Russian because the links between cursive letters significantly increase the writing speed.
Unfortunately, this increase in speed and convenience often results in the omission of the stress marks on the letter yo. It's continuously being omitted in modern-day Russian, making it look like the letter ye instead. This is convenient for those who are fluent in Russian, because words can still be understood based on context, but this can be problematic for new learners of Russian.
Every sentence begins with a capital letter in Russian.
Сегодня хорошая погода.
Proper nouns also begin with a capital letter.
Ломоносов, Москва, Днестр.
Proper names are also capitalized, but only on the first letter.
Индийское море, Багамские острова.
If all words in a proper name are proper nouns themselves, then they'll all be capitalized.
Северная Америка.
Unlike English, the pronoun for you is capitalized in Russian. It's done so as a sign of respect.
Вы не подскажете?
The days of the week are not capitalized in Russian.
Среда.
Neither are months, nationalities, languages, nor the pronoun for I in Russian.
Август. Эстонец. Испанский язык. Я один.
Okay, let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned that Russian uses the Cyrillic alphabet, which consists of 33 letters. You learned that Russian has upper and lowercase letters, and that it's written from left to right. You also learned a few capitalization rules in this lesson. We've covered only a few basic things about Russian writing.
Remember, you can check out our Learn Russian Writing video series as well. In that course, Svetlana breaks down the Russian alphabet, teaching you insightful things about each letter and how to write it.
In the next lesson, you'll be entering Russian boot camp, where you'll learn useful beginner phrases to get you speaking Russian right away. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
Bye!
Hi! Welcome to Introduction to Russian. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Katya.
In this lesson, we'll focus on teaching you the most useful Russian words and phrases for absolute beginners.
Make sure you're repeating the words out loud after I say the examples.
Are you ready? Let's get started. Do you remember how to greet someone in Russian?
We taught you this phrase in the very first lesson of the series. Can you recall what it was? Здравствуйте.
It's a common greeting that's used not only in Russia, but many Slavic countries.
Здравствуйте.
Now you try.
Здравствуйте.
To greet a friend more casually, you can say,
Привет. Привет.
try it.
Привет.
To greet someone more specifically, you can say,
Доброе утро, which means good morning. Доброе утро. Добрый день, meaning good day. Добрый день. Добрый вечер, meaning good evening. Добрый вечер.
One of the most useful phrases to learn is one that expresses gratitude. Let's learn how to say thank you in Russian.
Спасибо. Спасибо.
Try it.
Спасибо. This expression is derived from two words. Спаси, meaning save, and Бог, meaning God. It literally means save God, but this expression no longer has any religious connotations and is used to simply express gratitude. Спасибо.
Repeat it one more time.
Спасибо.
The next phrase we'll teach you is perhaps the second most useful phrase of all. It's to apologize or excuse yourself. If you are apologetic for disturbing someone to make a request, you can say
Извините, meaning sorry, or Извините, пожалуйста, meaning excuse me, please. Извините.
Try it.
Извините. Извините, пожалуйста. Извините, пожалуйста.
If you want to apologize for something you've done, such as stepping on someone's toes or bumping into someone, you can excuse yourself by saying
Простите, meaning forgive me, or прошу прощения, meaning I'm sorry. Простите.
Try it.
Простите. Простите. Прошу прощения. Прошу прощения.
In this final lesson, you learned how to greet someone, express gratitude, how to excuse yourself, and to apologize. And in this series, we introduced you to the basics of Russian pronunciation, grammar, writing, and more. Let's conclude with some parting advice from Katya, and listen to some of her tips on how to learn Russian from a native Russian perspective.
The sounds and pronunciation of a new language are always a huge stumbling block for new learners. I suggest getting familiar and practicing these sounds aloud from the very beginning so that you get used to Russian pronunciation. The key is to repeat them aloud. It's not enough to just sit idly expecting to improve when it comes to pronunciation. Check out our ultimate guide to Russian pronunciation to start perfecting your Russian as soon as possible. Another tip I recommend is to immerse yourself in Russian pop culture. Russians are funny people, and there are thousands and thousands of entertaining videos for you to watch online. Be entertained while familiarizing yourself with Russian mannerism, speech patterns, and intonation. Watching contemporary Russian videos, like our videos here at RussianPod101.com, will ensure that you're learning real, everyday Russian in the fastest and most effective way.
You've reached the end of this Introduction to Russian course, but it's only the beginning of your journey to Russian fluency. Where do you go from here? Try our Ultimate Guide to Russian Pronunciation series to start familiarizing yourself with Russian sounds and perfect your Russian pronunciation. Or check out any of our other video series. We have many different categories for you to choose from. Good luck as you continue learning Russian, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!
Bye!
Want to master grammar so you can speak properly, express yourself better, and understand more? In this video, I'll show you how to master grammar with our lessons and learning program. Let's begin. Number 1. Listen to the lesson conversations and explanations. In every lesson, you learn a conversation. Then, our teachers break down every word and grammar rule. So you're actually learning grammar rules in the context of conversations, and you can easily see how they're used. Once you're done, review the conversation again and again to remember what you've learned. Number 2, read the bonus explanations and tutorials. With the lesson notes, you get extra grammar explanations and examples that are not presented in the lesson. After you're done with the lesson, read the lesson notes for extra review. You can even save them as PDFs so that you can access them anytime. Number 3, leave a comment on the lesson. Once you've learned a grammar point, be sure to use it. Leave a comment in the comments section. Write some example sentences for practice. Our teachers will review your comment and give you feedback. Number 4, Unlock even more grammar lessons. If you want to find all of the grammar lessons available, visit our lesson library. Under Category, choose Grammar. You'll get all of the pathways and lessons dedicated to helping you learn and master sentence patterns and grammar points. So, if you're ready to finally learn a new language the fast, fun, and easy way, sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Signing up takes less than 30 seconds, and you'll start speaking from your very first lesson. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share it with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye!
Hi everyone, my name is Katyusha, and today we're gonna be doing top 25 Russian phrases. Let's start! Начнем! Здравствуйте! Hello! Здравствуйте! Hello! For example, Здравствуйте! Не подскажете, как пройти в библиотеку? Hello! Could you tell me how to get to the library? We also have another phrase for hello, which is informal and sounds like Привет! 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 Hello! Доброе утро! Good morning! Доброе утро! Good morning! Whenever you wake up, you just go Доброе утро or Доброе утро. Доброе утро. Sounds like that, okay? Добрый день. Good afternoon. Добрый день. Good afternoon. Добрый means that something is good. So people are wishing you something good in the day when you wake up, when they meet you at school at the daytime, or like in the evening. But usually you say привет, which is hello. Добрый вечер. Good evening. Добрый вечер. Good evening. I guess you can switch it to привет if you talk to your friends, but yeah, if you talk to strangers, you better say polite way and say добрый вечер. Good evening. Добро пожаловать. Welcome. Добро пожаловать. Welcome. You're welcome to come, right? Same with Russian, it's good that you came. Добро пожаловать. Добро пожаловать в Россию. Welcome to Russia. Как вас зовут? What's your name? Как вас зовут? What's your name? So first, when you see a stranger, you have to say Здравствуйте. Как вас зовут? Меня зовут. My name is. Меня зовут and your name. My name is. Ding, 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 ding. Let's practice. Здравствуйте. Как вас зовут? Меня зовут Катя. How was it? Am I talking to myself? Приятно познакомиться. Nice to meet you. Приятно познакомиться. It was nice to meet you. Здравствуйте. Как вас зовут? Меня зовут Катя. О, приятно познакомиться. Got it? Как дела? How are you? When you meet anyone, you know, you want to ask what? You want to ask, how are you, right? So sometimes instead of hello, you just go, how are you? Как дела? Привет, как дела? Literally, how are your things going? So now you can make a conversation. А у тебя? How about yourself? Привет, как дела? Хорошо. А у тебя? And how are you doing? Which makes sense. So they care about you. They want to know how you're doing. It's nice. Спасибо. Thank you. Спасибо. Thank you. Привет, как дела? Хорошо, спасибо. А у тебя? Пожалуйста. Please. You're welcome. Пожалуйста. Please. Or you're welcome. The difference in please and you're welcome is just the way you say it. For example, Mom, please, I don't want to go to school. Пожалуйста, мама, я не хочу идти в школу. Which we can hear every morning. Or you can say, present, an iPad from my friend is like, спасибо. And they go like, пожалуйста. Like, you're welcome. Что нового? What's new? Что нового? What's new? Basically, it's same as как дела. Just you want to know more details of how things are going. So, привет, как дела? Что нового? Hi, how are you? What's new? До встречи. See you later. До встречи. Usually we don't wave hands. See you later, see you soon. Means literally, till next time I see you. До свидания. Goodbye. Or you can say пока-пока, which means bye-bye. Где находится туалет? Where is the bathroom? Где находится туалет? Where is the bathroom? You can make it shorter because the word находится literally means located or to be, can be just cut out. So you can just say где туалет? Where is the toilet? Or you can ask где здесь туалет? Where is a toilet around here? It's a very important phrase because it's not easy to find free toilets. Remember that one. Сколько это стоит? How much does it cost? Сколько это стоит? How much is it? How much does it cost? So try next time when you're shop. Я хочу заказать. I would like to order. Я хочу заказать. I would like to order something. Я хочу заказать салат. I would like to order salad. You made up your mind, so you want to order this. So я хочу. If you want to say it in a more polite way, for example, you're in a very high-end restaurant, and so you want to be polite with the waiter, so you could say я бы хотел заказать. I would like to order. Я бы хотела заказать чашечку кофе. I would like to order a cup of coffee. That would sound much nicer. Счет, пожалуйста. Check, please. Счет, пожалуйста. The check, please. Oh, официант. Счет, пожалуйста. Now you can have a dinner or lunch in the restaurant. That's nice. Который час? What time is it? Который час? What time is it? Excuse me, what time is it now? Извините, который час? Извините. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Извините. I'm sorry and excuse me. If you say I'm sorry, you can say извините, like you're really sorry about something you've done. But you can say excuse me, like you stepped on somebody's foot in a train. You can say ой, извините. Хорошо. Good. Okay. Хорошо. Okay. Good. When somebody asks you, how are you doing? Как дела? You can say, хорошо, спасибо. I'm good, thank you. Помогите. Help. Помогите. Someone. Help, help, help me, somebody. Помогите. For example, if you're a big forest and you don't know your way out, so you have to shout to let people hear you. So you're like, помогите. But it's really a rare situation. I hope you won't be in it. Да. Yes. Да. Yes. Russian people say a lot. Да, 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 да. Yes, 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 yes. I agree. Да, да, да. Нет. No. Нет. No. Нет. Would you like to go to dinner with me? No. Нет. Thank you for watching. And today we did top 25 Russian phrases for daily conversation. And don't forget to subscribe for our channel. Thank you. Bye-bye. Пока-пока. Oh, Katya, thank you so much. You're so good. Oh, не за что.
Hi everyone, I'm Anastasia Komarova. Всем привет! Меня зовут Анастасия Комарова. Welcome to the Russian whiteboard lessons. So, today in this lesson, you will learn how to ask and give simple directions in Russian. Let's get started. Поехали! And now, let's look at the dialogue. When I read, I want you to pay attention to prepositions that show direction. Find these prepositions and see how it's used in the dialogue. Imagine that you are lost or can't figure out how to find a building, place, or some object you need. Где находится библиотека? Где находится библиотека? Where is the library? Библиотека находится перед школой. Библиотека находится перед школой. The library is in front of the school. The question: где находится библиотека? Где? Where? Находится. Is. Библиотека. The library. The answer: библиотека находится перед школой. Библиотека. The library. Находится. Is. Перед. In front of. Школой. The school. Библиотека. Library. School. Школа. Sometimes the verb can be omitted. It will sound a little informal. Now, let's look at the sentence pattern. This pattern was the structure that our dialogues followed. Place находится, direction. Place is direction. For example, например, библиотека находится, direction. The library is direction. The words that we use for asking and giving simple directions: находится, лежит, is. Okay, let's look at the vocabulary. And the first one is перед. In front of. Перед. Перед. Next one. Позади. Behind. Позади. Позади. Next one. Рядом с. Next to. Рядом с. Рядом с. Next one. Далеко от. Far away from. Далеко от. Далеко от. These words are opposites. Рядом с. Далеко от. The word similar to the word рядом с is близко. Близко от. Далеко от. Next one. Слева от. To the left of. Слева от. Слева от. Next one. Справа от. To the right of. Справа от. Справа от. Next one. Напротив. Across from. Напротив. Напротив. Next one is внутри. Inside. Внутри. Внутри. Let's look over here to visualize. Внутри. Слева от. Справа от. Далеко от. Рядом с. Напротив. Перед. Позади. Okay, now let's look at some speaking examples. Я живу далеко от тебя. I live far away from you. Я живу далеко от тебя. Живу. Live. Next one. Яблоко лежит рядом с бананом. The apple is next to the banana. Яблоко лежит рядом с бананом. Лежит is. Next one. Банк находится напротив парка. The bank is across from the park. Банк находится напротив парка. Находится is. Банк the bank. Парк the park. And again, let's use the map. Я живу далеко от тебя. Яблоко лежит рядом с бананом. Банк находится напротив парка. Fun fact. In Russia, the phrase «Где находится библиотека?» Where is the library? Was considered a humorous phrase to start a conversation or get to know someone. Do you remember how to say in front of? Перед. Перед. And how to say behind? Позади. Позади. And how to say next to? Рядом с. Рядом с. And how to say far away from? Далеко от. Далеко от. Do you remember how to say to the left of? Слева от. Слева от. And how to say to the right of? Справа от. Справа от. And how to say across from? Напротив. Напротив. And how to say inside? Внутри. Внутри. Do you remember how to say the library is direction? Библиотека находится direction. Библиотека находится direction. And how about the phrase I live far away from you? Я живу далеко от тебя. Я живу далеко от тебя. Do you remember how to say the apple is next to the banana? Яблоко лежит рядом с бананом. Яблоко лежит рядом с бананом. Last, how would you say the phrase the bank is across from the park? Банк находится напротив парка. Банк находится напротив парка. Well done! Отлично поработали! In this lesson, you learn how to ask and give simple directions in Russian. Thanks for watching! I'm Anastasia, and we'll see you again on RussianPod101.com. До скорой встречи! Пока-пока!
everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one, and the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. Today, we'll learn conversational phrases about occupations. After watching this video, you'll be able to talk about your job and ask what somebody does for a living. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your occupation PDF cheat sheet for free. Now, let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
Чем ты занимаешься? Я художник.
Listen to it again, now with the English translation.
Чем ты занимаешься?
What do you do?
Я художник.
I'm an artist. First of all, you need to learn how to say, what do you do? That's.
Чем ты занимаешься?
Listen to it again.
Чем ты занимаешься? Чем ты занимаешься?
Now, how do you answer this question? This is the pattern you'll need.
Я
Your occupation. I'm an, your occupation. For example, I'm an artist.
Я художник. Я художник.
Here are a few more professions you can use with the same pattern. Police officer,
Полицейский. Полицейский.
teacher,
Учитель. Учитель.
Учительница. Учительница.
doctor,
Врач. Врач.
engineer,
Инженер. Инженер.
Now, listen to some examples.
Чем ты занимаешься? Я учитель. Чем ты занимаешься? Я врач. Чем ты занимаешься? Я инженер.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, what do you do?
Чем ты занимаешься?
Imagine you're a doctor. Do you remember how to say, doctor?
Врач. Врач.
Say, I'm a doctor.
Я врач.
Now answer the question saying that you are a doctor.
Чем ты занимаешься? Я врач.
Now, imagine you're a teacher. Do you remember how to say teacher?
Учитель. Учитель.
Say, I'm a teacher.
Я учитель.
Now, answer the question saying that you are a teacher.
Чем ты занимаешься? Я учитель.
Now, imagine you're an engineer. Do you remember how to say engineer?
Инженер. Инженер.
Say, I'm an engineer.
Я инженер.
Now, answer the question saying that you are an engineer.
Чем ты занимаешься? Я инженер.
Well done! In this lesson, you learn new occupation-related vocabulary and phrases you can use in your everyday life. You are now able to talk about your job like a native speaker. Start by practicing in the comments below. Tell me about your job. Lastly, don't forget to click the link in the description and download your PDF cheat sheets. You'll get useful phrases you need for everyday life for free. See you in the next lesson. Bye! Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one. And the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. In this lesson, we'll learn conversational phrases to answer the question, what's your favorite number? After watching this video, you'll be able to say many numbers and ask someone their favorite number. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your Talking About Numbers PDF cheat sheet for free. Now, let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
Какое у вас любимое число? 7.
Once more with the English translation.
Какое у вас любимое число?
What's your favorite number?
7.
It's 7. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, what's your favorite number? That's,
Какое у вас любимое число?
listen to it again.
Какое у вас любимое число? Какое у вас любимое число?
This Russian sentence literally translates into, what at yours favorite number? But it means, what's your favorite number in English? Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is number. In Russian, we only say the number as the answer. For example, it's 7.
7. 7.
Here are a few more numbers you can use with the same pattern. 7,
7. 7.
2,
2. 2.
4,
4. 4.
9,
9. 9.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
Какое у вас любимое число? 2. Какое у вас любимое число? 4. Какое у вас любимое число? 9.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, what's your favorite number?
Какое у вас любимое число?
Imagine it's 2. Do you remember how to say 2?
2. 2.
Say, it's 2.
2.
Now answer the question saying, it's 2.
Какое у вас любимое число? 2.
Now imagine it's 4. Do you remember how to say 4?
4. 4.
Say, it's 4.
4.
Now, answer the question by saying, it's 4.
Какое у вас любимое число? 4.
Now, imagine it's 9. Do you remember how to say 9?
9. 9.
Say, it's 9.
9.
Now, answer the question saying, it's 9.
Какое у вас любимое число? 9.
In this lesson, you learned number-related phrases you can use in your everyday life to talk about numbers. You are now able to count like a native speaker. Start by practicing in the comments below. Tell us your favorite number. Lastly, don't forget to click the link in the description and download your PDF cheat sheets. You'll get useful phrases you need for everyday life for free. See you in the next lesson. Bye! Hey everyone, Alicia here. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one. And the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. In this lesson, we'll learn conversational phrases to answer the question, what's the matter? After watching this video, you'll be able to make complaints and ask someone else if they're having any issues. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your Making Complaints PDF cheat sheet for free. Now let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
В чем дело?
В офисе жарко.
Once more with the English translation.
В чем дело?
What's the matter?
В офисе жарко.
The office is hot. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, what's the matter? That's,
В чем дело?
listen to it again.
В чем дело? В чем дело?
Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is
В офисе.
adjective. This Russian sentence literally translates into in the office adjective, but it means the office is adjective in English. For example, the office is hot.
В чем дело?
В офисе жарко.
Here are a few more examples you can use with the same pattern to make complaints. Hot,
Жарко. Жарко.
cold,
Холодно. Холодно.
noisy,
Шумно. Шумно.
dirty,
Грязно. Грязно.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
В чем дело? В офисе холодно. В чем дело? В офисе шумно. чем дело? В офисе грязно.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, "What's the matter?"
В чем дело?
Imagine the office is cold. Do you remember how to say cold?
Холодно. Холодно.
Say, the office is cold.
В офисе холодно.
Now answer the question saying the office is cold.
В чем дело? В офисе холодно.
Now imagine the office is noisy. Do you remember how to say noisy?
Шумно. Шумно.
Say, the office is noisy.
В офисе шумно.
Now, answer the question saying the office is noisy.
В чем дело? В офисе шумно.
Now imagine the office is dirty. Do you remember how to say dirty?
Грязно. Грязно.
Say, the office is dirty.
В офисе грязно.
Now answer the question, saying the office is dirty.
В чем дело? В офисе грязно.
In this lesson, you learned new vocabulary and phrases you can use in your everyday life to make complaints. You are now able to share your concerns like a native speaker. Start by practicing in the comments below. Make any complaints you may have today. Lastly, don't forget to click the link in the description and download your PDF cheat sheets. You'll get useful phrases you need for everyday life for free. See you in the next lesson. Bye! Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one. And the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. In this lesson, you'll learn conversational phrases to ask and answer the question, how do you say this? After watching this video, you'll be able to ask someone how a word is pronounced. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your How to Say Something PDF cheat sheet for free. Now, let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
Как это называется?
Это называется парковка.
Once more with the English translation.
Как это называется?
How do you say this?
Это называется парковка.
It's parking lot. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, how do you say this? That's,
Как это называется?
listen to it again.
Как это называется? Как это называется?
This Russian sentence literally translates into, how is it named? But it means, how do you say this in English? Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is,
Это называется.
word. This Russian sentence literally translates into, it word, but it means, it's word in English. For example, It's parking lot.
Это называется парковка. Это называется парковка.
Here are a few useful words you can use with the same pattern. Parking lot.
Парковка. Парковка.
Giraffe.
Жираф. Жираф.
Travel.
Путешествие. Путешествие.
Invasion.
Вторжение. Вторжение.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
Как это называется?
Это называется жираф.
Как это называется?
Это называется путешествие.
Как это называется?
Это называется вторжение.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, how do you say this?
Как это называется?
Imagine it's the word giraffe. Do you remember how to say giraffe?
Жираф. Жираф.
Say, it's giraffe.
Это называется жираф.
Now answer the question saying, it's giraffe.
Как это называется?
Это называется жираф.
Now imagine the word is travel. Do you remember how to say travel?
Путешествие. Путешествие.
Say, it's travel.
Это называется путешествие.
Now, answer the question saying it's travel.
Как это называется?
Это называется путешествие.
Now imagine the word is invasion. Do you remember how to say invasion?
Вторжение. Вторжение.
Say, it's invasion.
Это называется вторжение.
Now answer the question saying it's invasion.
Как это называется?
Это называется вторжение.
In this lesson, you learned new vocabulary and phrases you can use in your everyday life to ask someone how something is said. You are now able to ask how to say something like a native speaker. Start by practicing in the comments below. Tell us, which word do you think is the hardest to pronounce? Lastly, don't forget to click the link in the description and download your PDF cheat sheets. You'll get useful phrases you need for everyday life for free. See you in the next lesson. Bye! Hey everyone, Alicia here. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one. And the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. In this lesson, we'll learn conversational phrases to answer the question, how's your mother? After watching this video, you'll be able to talk about well-being and ask how someone is doing. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your Conversation About Family Well-Being PDF cheat sheet for free. Now let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
Как мама? Хорошо.
Once more with the English translation.
Как мама?
How's your mother?
Хорошо.
She's fine. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, how's your mother? That's.
Как мама?
Listen to it again.
Как мама? Как мама?
This Russian sentence literally means, how mother? But it translates as, how's your mother? Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is state of well-being. In Russian, we only say the adjective as answer. For example, she's fine.
Хорошо. Хорошо.
Here are a few expressions related to well-being that you can use with this pattern. Great.
Отлично. Отлично.
Fine.
Хорошо. Хорошо.
So-so.
Так себе. Так себе.
Not good.
Не очень. Не очень.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
Как мама? Отлично. Как мама? Так себе. Как мама? Не очень.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, how's your mother?
Как мама?
Imagine she's great. Do you remember how to say, great?
Отлично. Отлично.
Say, she's great.
Отлично.
Now, answer the question saying she's great.
Как мама? Отлично.
Now imagine she's so-so. Do you remember how to say so-so?
Так себе. Так себе.
Say, she's so-so.
Так себе.
Now, answer the question saying she's so-so.
Как мама? Так себе.
Now imagine she's not good. Do you remember how to say not good?
Не очень. Не очень.
Say, she's not good.
Не очень.
Now, answer the question saying she's not good.
Как мама? Не очень.
In this lesson, you learn new vocabulary and phrases you can use in your everyday life to talk about well-being. You're now able to talk about how someone is feeling like a native speaker. Start by practicing in the comments below. Tell me how you are today. Lastly, don't forget to click the link in the description and download your PDF cheat sheets. You'll get useful phrases you need for everyday life for free. See you in the next lesson. Bye! Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one. And the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. In this lesson, we'll learn conversational phrases to answer the question, what kind of movies do you like? After watching this video, you'll be able to talk about movies and ask other people about their favorite kinds of movies. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your Talking About Movies and TV PDF cheat sheet for free. Now, let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
Какие фильмы вам нравятся?
Я люблю ужасы.
Once more with the English translation.
Какие фильмы вам нравятся?
What kind of movies do you like?
Я люблю ужасы.
I like horror. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, what kind of movies do you like? That's,
Какие фильмы вам нравятся?
listen to it again.
Какие фильмы вам нравятся? Какие фильмы вам нравятся?
This Russian sentence literally translates as, what movies do you like? But it means, what kind of movies do you like? Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is,
Я люблю.
type of movie. I like type of movie. For example, I like horror.
Я люблю ужасы. Я люблю ужасы.
Here are a few more kinds of movies you can use with the same pattern to talk about movies. Horror,
Ужасы. Ужасы.
comedy,
Комедия. Комедия.
fantasy,
Фэнтези. Фэнтези.
romance,
Романтика. Романтика.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
Какие фильмы вам нравятся?
Я люблю комедии.
Какие фильмы вам нравятся?
Я люблю фэнтези.
Какие фильмы вам нравятся?
Я люблю романтику.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, what kind of movies do you like?
Какие фильмы вам нравятся?
Imagine you like comedies. Do you remember how to say comedy?
Комедия. Комедия.
Say, I like comedies.
Я люблю комедии.
Now answer the question saying that you like comedies.
Какие фильмы вам нравятся?
Я люблю комедии.
Now imagine that you like fantasy movies. Do you remember how to say fantasy?
Фэнтези. Фэнтези.
Say, I like fantasy.
Я люблю фэнтези.
Now, answer the question saying you like fantasy movies.
Какие фильмы вам нравятся?
Я люблю фэнтези.
Now imagine you like romantic movies. Do you remember how to say romantic?
Романтика. Романтика.
Say, I like romance.
Я люблю романтику.
Now answer the question saying you like romantic movies.
Какие фильмы вам нравятся?
Я люблю романтику.
In this lesson, you learned new vocabulary and phrases you can use in your everyday life to talk about movies. You are now able to talk about types of movies like a native speaker. Start by practicing in the comments below. Tell us what your favorite kind of movie is. Lastly, don't forget to click the link in the description and download your PDF cheat sheets. You'll get useful phrases you need for everyday life for free. See you in the next lesson. Bye! Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one. And the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. In this lesson, you'll learn conversational phrases to answer the question, what are you doing during the holiday? After watching this video, you'll be able to talk about your holiday plans. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your National Holidays PDF cheat sheet for free. Now, let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
Что вы делаете на День труда?
Я собираюсь поехать на шашлыки.
Once more with the English translation.
Что вы делаете на День труда?
What are you doing for Labor Day?
Я собираюсь поехать на шашлыки.
I'm planning to go to a barbecue. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, what are you doing for Labor Day? That's,
Что вы делаете на День труда?
listen to it again.
Что вы делаете на День труда? Что вы делаете на День труда?
Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is
Я собираюсь.
plan. I'm planning to plan. For example, I'm planning to go to a barbecue.
Я собираюсь поехать на шашлыки. Я собираюсь поехать на шашлыки.
Here are a few more phrases you can use with the same pattern to talk about your plans. Go to a barbecue.
Поехать на шашлыки. Поехать на шашлыки.
Travel.
Путешествовать. Путешествовать.
Stay home.
Остаться дома. Остаться дома.
Go to the movies.
Пойти в кино. Пойти в кино.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat, or speak along with the native speakers.
Что вы делаете на День труда? Я собираюсь путешествовать. Что вы делаете на День труда? Я собираюсь остаться дома. Что вы делаете на День труда? Я собираюсь пойти в кино.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, "What are you doing for Labor Day?"
Что вы делаете на День труда?
Imagine you're planning to travel. Do you remember how to say travel?
Путешествовать. Путешествовать.
Say, I'm planning to travel.
Я собираюсь путешествовать.
Now, answer the question saying you're planning to travel.
Что вы делаете на День труда? Я собираюсь путешествовать.
Now, imagine you're planning to stay home. Do you remember how to say stay home?
Остаться дома. Остаться дома.
Say, I'm planning to stay home.
Я собираюсь остаться дома.
Now, answer the question saying you're planning to stay home.
Что вы делаете на День труда? Я собираюсь остаться дома.
Now imagine you're planning to go to the movies. Do you remember how to say go to the movies?
Пойти в кино. Пойти в кино.
Say, I'm planning to go to the movies.
Я собираюсь пойти в кино.
Now, answer the question saying you're planning to go to the movies.
Что вы делаете на День труда? Я собираюсь пойти в кино.
In this lesson, you learned new vocabulary and phrases you can use in your everyday life to talk about your plans. You're now able to talk about your holiday plans like a native speaker. Start by practicing in the comments below. Tell me and your fellow learners what you're doing on your next vacation. Lastly, don't forget to click the link in the description and download your PDF cheat sheets. You'll get useful phrases you need for everyday life for free. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
Hi everyone, I'm Gabriella. How are your Russian listening skills? In this video, you'll have a chance to test them out with a quiz. First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end. Are you ready?
Женщина спрашивает кое-что у продавца в книжном магазине. Какую книгу хочет посмотреть женщина? Извините, могу я взглянуть на книгу вон на той полке?
Которую книгу вы хотите посмотреть?
Книгу о машинах.
Подождите, пожалуйста. Вот эту?
Верно.
Вот, пожалуйста.
Какую книгу хочет посмотреть женщина? Женщина спрашивает кое-что у продавца в книжном магазине. Какую книгу хочет посмотреть женщина? Извините, могу я взглянуть на книгу вон на той полке?
Которую книгу вы хотите посмотреть?
Книгу о машинах.
Подождите, пожалуйста. Вот эту?
Верно.
Вот, пожалуйста.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мужчина и женщина смотрят на меню в ресторане. Что мужчина заказал?
Что бы вы хотели заказать?
Эта пицца выглядит аппетитно. Я возьму ее.
Я ел пиццу вчера, так что...
Правда? Тогда как насчет гамбургера?
Звучит неплохо. Я закажу его.
Что мужчина заказал? Мужчина и женщина смотрят на меню в ресторане. Что мужчина заказал?
Что бы вы хотели заказать?
Эта пицца выглядит аппетитно. Я возьму ее.
Я ел пиццу вчера, так что...
Правда? Тогда как насчет гамбургера?
Звучит неплохо. Я закажу его.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мужчина разговаривает с клиникой по телефону. До какого времени мужчина должен прийти туда? Здравствуйте. Чем я могу вам помочь?
До скольки вы сегодня работаете?
До 6 часов. Но, пожалуйста, придите до 5:30.
Хорошо.
До какого времени мужчина должен прийти туда? Мужчина разговаривает с клиникой по телефону. До какого времени мужчина должен прийти туда? Здравствуйте. Чем я могу вам помочь?
До скольки вы сегодня работаете?
До 6 часов. Но, пожалуйста, придите до 5:30.
Хорошо.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мальчик читает свой дневник. Что мальчик сделал в первую очередь в этот день?
Сегодня была очень хорошая погода. После обеда я пошел в бассейн, а вечером я пошел смотреть кино. Кроме того, я учился утром. Это был очень хороший день.
Что мальчик сделал в первую очередь в этот день? Мальчик читает свой дневник. Что мальчик сделал в первую очередь в этот день?
Сегодня была очень хорошая погода. После обеда я пошел в бассейн, а вечером я пошел смотреть кино. Кроме того, я учился утром. Это был очень хороший день.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мужчина и женщина рассматривают фотографию. На какую фотографию они смотрят? Это фотография футбольной команды вашего сына, не так ли? Который из них ваш сын?
Вот этот.
О, он самый высокий в команде.
Он выше, чем я.
На какую фотографию они смотрят? Мужчина и женщина рассматривают фотографию. На какую фотографию они смотрят? Это фотография футбольной команды вашего сына, не так ли? Который из них ваш сын?
Вот этот.
О, он самый высокий в команде.
Он выше, чем я.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. Hi everyone, I'm Gabriella. How are your Russian listening skills? In this video, you'll have a chance to test them out with a quiz. First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end. Are you ready?
Мужчина и женщина разговаривают. Когда они собираются посмотреть фильм?
Почему бы нам не сходить в кино в следующую субботу?
Да, я бы с удовольствием, но я утром работаю.
В котором часу ты закончишь работу?
В 2 часа дня.
Тогда давай встретимся в кафе в 3 часа, а в 4 часа посмотрим фильм.
Хорошо. Когда они собираются посмотреть фильм? Мужчина и женщина разговаривают. Когда они собираются посмотреть фильм?
Почему бы нам не сходить в кино в следующую субботу?
Да, я бы с удовольствием, но я утром работаю.
В котором часу ты закончишь работу?
В 2 часа дня.
Тогда давай встретимся в кафе в 3 часа, а в 4 часа посмотрим фильм.
Хорошо.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мужчина разговаривает с продавцом. Какую рубашку он собирается купить?
Как вы думаете, какая рубашка лучше? Белая или голубая?
Мне нравится голубая. Она очень подходит к вашему серому пиджаку.
Вы так думаете? Но мне кажется, она не подходит к моему красному галстуку.
Ну, да, я согласна.
Хорошо. Тогда я возьму белую, а не голубую.
Какую рубашку он собирается купить? Мужчина разговаривает с продавцом. Какую рубашку он собирается купить?
Как вы думаете, какая рубашка лучше? Белая или голубая?
Мне нравится голубая. Она очень подходит к вашему серому пиджаку.
Вы так думаете? Но мне кажется, она не подходит к моему красному галстуку.
Ну, да, я согласна.
Хорошо. Тогда я возьму белую, а не голубую.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мужчина находится в ресторане быстрого питания. Какое меню он собирается заказать?
Простите, я могу заказать специальное бургер-меню?
Да, пожалуйста, выберите картофель фри или салат.
Салат, пожалуйста.
Отлично. Пожалуйста, выберите напиток.
Кока-колу, пожалуйста.
Какое меню он собирается заказать? Мужчина находится в ресторане быстрого питания. Какое меню он собирается заказать?
Простите, я могу заказать специальное бургер-меню?
Да, пожалуйста, выберите картофель фри или салат.
Салат, пожалуйста.
Отлично. Пожалуйста, выберите напиток.
Кока-колу, пожалуйста.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Учительница готовит торт. Что учительница положила в него? Сегодня мы собираемся приготовить торт. Во-первых, смешайте масло и сахар. Затем добавьте 2 яйца и все хорошо перемешайте. Добавьте муку и слегка перемешайте. Поставьте в духовку и выпекайте в течение 50 минут. Вот и все. Что учительница положила в него? Учительница готовит торт. Что учительница положила в него? Сегодня мы собираемся приготовить торт. Во-первых, смешайте масло и сахар. Затем добавьте 2 яйца и все хорошо перемешайте. Добавьте муку и слегка перемешайте. Поставьте в духовку и выпекайте в течение 50 минут. Вот и все.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мужчина и женщина разговаривают. Что они сначала собираются сделать?
Какие у тебя сегодня планы?
Я хочу посмотреть фильм.
Хорошо. А я хочу посмотреть бейсбол по телевизору.
Также я хочу пройтись по магазинам.
Бейсбол начнется в 1 дня.
Ладно, давай сначала посмотрим фильм, а затем ты можешь смотреть свой бейсбол.
Хорошо. А тогда вечером пройдемся по магазинам.
Что они сначала собираются сделать? Мужчина и женщина разговаривают. Что они сначала собираются сделать?
Какие у тебя сегодня планы?
Я хочу посмотреть фильм.
Хорошо. А я хочу посмотреть бейсбол по телевизору.
Также я хочу пройтись по магазинам.
Бейсбол начнется в 1 дня.
Ладно, давай сначала посмотрим фильм, а затем ты можешь смотреть свой бейсбол.
Хорошо. А тогда вечером пройдемся по магазинам.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. Hi everyone, I'm Gabriella. How are your Russian listening skills? In this video, you'll have a chance to test them out with a quiz. First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end. Are you ready?
Студентка и преподаватель разговаривают. К которому часу студентка решила прийти к преподавателю? Извините, у меня есть несколько вопросов по вашей лекции.
Конечно. Я вас слушаю.
Вопросов довольно много. У вас сейчас есть время?
Ну тогда, пожалуйста, приходите ко мне в кабинет во второй половине дня. Я буду там с 1 дня до 4.
Хорошо, я приду в 2. К которому часу студентка решила прийти к преподавателю? Студентка и преподаватель разговаривают. К которому часу студентка решила прийти к преподавателю? Извините, у меня есть несколько вопросов по вашей лекции.
Конечно. Я вас слушаю.
Вопросов довольно много. У вас сейчас есть время?
Ну тогда, пожалуйста, приходите ко мне в кабинет во второй половине дня. Я буду там с 1 дня до 4.
Хорошо, я приду в 2.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Женщина обедает в ресторане. Что она собирается заказать?
Что вам принести после основного блюда? Кофе или десерт?
А какие у вас есть десерты?
У нас есть пудинг и яблочный пирог.
Тогда кофе, пожалуйста.
С сахаром или с молоком?
С молоком, пожалуйста. Что она собирается заказать? Женщина обедает в ресторане. Что она собирается заказать?
Что вам принести после основного блюда? Кофе или десерт?
А какие у вас есть десерты?
У нас есть пудинг и яблочный пирог.
Тогда кофе, пожалуйста.
С сахаром или с молоком?
С молоком, пожалуйста.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Женщина ждет мужчину. Где женщина будет его ждать?
Привет, извини, но я опоздаю на 30 минут.
Хорошо, я буду ждать тебя в кафе.
В каком кафе?
Оно находится рядом с книжным магазином. Напротив кафе есть булочная.
Хорошо.
Где женщина будет его ждать? Женщина ждет мужчину. Где женщина будет его ждать?
Привет, извини, но я опоздаю на 30 минут.
Хорошо, я буду ждать тебя в кафе.
В каком кафе?
Оно находится рядом с книжным магазином. Напротив кафе есть булочная.
Хорошо.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Парень и девушка разговаривают. Что девушка будет делать во время летних каникул?
У тебя есть планы на летние каникулы?
Пока нет, но мне бы очень хотелось поехать на море или в горы.
А я с друзьями еду на море. Мы хотим заняться серфингом.
Классно!
Почему бы тебе не поехать с нами?
Это будет весело. Да, поеду с вами. Что девушка будет делать во время летних каникул? Парень и девушка разговаривают. Что девушка будет делать во время летних каникул?
У тебя есть планы на летние каникулы?
Пока нет, но мне бы очень хотелось поехать на море или в горы.
А я с друзьями еду на море. Мы хотим заняться серфингом.
Классно!
Почему бы тебе не поехать с нами?
Это будет весело. Да, поеду с вами.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Девушка и парень разговаривают. Что у девушки было сегодня на завтрак? Я хочу есть.
Ты сегодня завтракала?
Да,
Что ты ела?
я съела маленький йогурт и выпила чашку кофе.
Это совсем мало. Нужно было съесть еще какие-нибудь фрукты или хотя бы булочку.
Что у девушки было сегодня на завтрак? Девушка и парень разговаривают. Что у девушки было сегодня на завтрак? Я хочу есть.
Ты сегодня завтракала?
Да,
Что ты ела?
я съела маленький йогурт и выпила чашку кофе.
Это совсем мало. Нужно было съесть еще какие-нибудь фрукты или хотя бы булочку.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time! Hi everyone, I'm Gabriella. How are your Russian listening skills? In this video, you'll have a chance to test them out with a quiz. First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end. Are you ready?
Женщина в универмаге. На какой этаж она поднимется? Извините, где здесь продается детская одежда?
На 5-м этаже и на 6-м.
А у вас есть одежда для младенцев?
Да, есть. На 6-м этаже.
Большое спасибо. Пойду посмотрю там. На какой этаж она поднимется? Женщина в универмаге. На какой этаж она поднимется? Извините, где здесь продается детская одежда?
На 5-м этаже и на 6-м.
А у вас есть одежда для младенцев?
Да, есть. На 6-м этаже.
Большое спасибо. Пойду посмотрю там.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time! How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мужчина и женщина разговаривают. Сколько мужчине сейчас лет? У тебя скоро день рождения.
Да, послезавтра.
Сколько лет тебе исполнится?
Мне исполнится 60 лет.
Поздравляю. Давай отпразднуем.
Спасибо большое. Я буду очень рад.
Сколько мужчине сейчас лет? Мужчина и женщина разговаривают. Сколько мужчине сейчас лет? У тебя скоро день рождения.
Да, послезавтра.
Сколько лет тебе исполнится?
Мне исполнится 60 лет.
Поздравляю. Давай отпразднуем.
Спасибо большое. Я буду очень рад.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time! How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Женщина выбирает одежду в магазине. Что она собирается купить? Мне нравится и белая юбка, и синяя юбка.
Да, белая юбка хорошо продается.
Синяя юбка дорогая.
Да, но она вам очень идет.
Я не могу купить 2 юбки. Тогда, пожалуйста, белую.
Хорошо. Спасибо большое.
Что она собирается купить? Женщина выбирает одежду в магазине. Что она собирается купить? Мне нравится и белая юбка, и синяя юбка.
Да, белая юбка хорошо продается.
Синяя юбка дорогая.
Да, но она вам очень идет.
Я не могу купить 2 юбки. Тогда, пожалуйста, белую.
Хорошо. Спасибо большое.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time! How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мужчина и женщина разговаривают. Сколько человек придет на вечеринку?
Завтра будет вечеринка.
Кто придет?
Ты и я, 2 моих друга и учитель.
Всего 5 человек.
Ой, учитель придет со своей женой.
А, понятно. Сколько человек придет на вечеринку? Мужчина и женщина разговаривают. Сколько человек придет на вечеринку?
Завтра будет вечеринка.
Кто придет?
Ты и я, 2 моих друга и учитель.
Всего 5 человек.
Ой, учитель придет со своей женой.
А, понятно.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time! How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Женщина купила кровать. Куда она собирается ее поставить?
Эта кровать большая.
Да, и я не могу поставить ее у двери.
Давай поставим ее в конце комнаты.
Может, поставим кровать посередине комнаты?
Нет, давай поставим ее в угол.
Звучит неплохо. Давай так и сделаем. Куда она собирается ее поставить? Женщина купила кровать. Куда она собирается ее поставить?
Эта кровать большая.
Да, и я не могу поставить ее у двери.
Давай поставим ее в конце комнаты.
Может, поставим кровать посередине комнаты?
Нет, давай поставим ее в угол.
Звучит неплохо. Давай так и сделаем.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time! Hi everyone, I'm Gabriella. How are your Russian listening skills? In this video, you'll have a chance to test them out with a quiz. First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end. Are you ready?
Преподаватель разговаривает со студентами. Что студентам нужно принести с собой?
Завтра мы идем в музей. Возьмите с собой ручку, блокнот и воду. Мы будем обедать в музее и в ресторане, поэтому не берите с собой бутерброды.
А что насчет зонта?
Завтра может пойти дождь. Возьмите с собой зонтик, пожалуйста.
Хорошо. Что студентам нужно принести с собой? Преподаватель разговаривает со студентами. Что студентам нужно принести с собой?
Завтра мы идем в музей. Возьмите с собой ручку, блокнот и воду. Мы будем обедать в музее и в ресторане, поэтому не берите с собой бутерброды.
А что насчет зонта?
Завтра может пойти дождь. Возьмите с собой зонтик, пожалуйста.
Хорошо.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time! How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мужчина и женщина разговаривают. Когда они пойдут на массаж? Мой друг недавно открыл массажный кабинет.
Массажный кабинет? Я хочу пойти.
У тебя есть время в субботу?
В субботу я занят. Может, в воскресенье?
Кабинет не работает по воскресеньям. Тогда как насчет пятницы?
Отлично.
Когда они пойдут на массаж? Мужчина и женщина разговаривают. Когда они пойдут на массаж? Мой друг недавно открыл массажный кабинет.
Массажный кабинет? Я хочу пойти.
У тебя есть время в субботу?
В субботу я занят. Может, в воскресенье?
Кабинет не работает по воскресеньям. Тогда как насчет пятницы?
Отлично.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time! How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Женщина разговаривает с продавцом. Какой этаж ей нужен? Извините, где находится женская одежда?
На 3-м, 4-м и 5-м этажах.
А на каком этаже куртки?
На 4-м. Лифт вон там.
На 4-м этаже? Спасибо. Какой этаж ей нужен? Женщина разговаривает с продавцом. Какой этаж ей нужен? Извините, где находится женская одежда?
На 3-м, 4-м и 5-м этажах.
А на каком этаже куртки?
На 4-м. Лифт вон там.
На 4-м этаже? Спасибо.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time! How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мужчина и женщина разговаривают. Где находится ключ?
Где ключ от квартиры?
Я оставила его на столе.
Его там нет.
Посмотри под столом.
Ничего.
В кармане его тоже нет.
Ой, он в моей сумке.
Где находится ключ? Мужчина и женщина разговаривают. Где находится ключ?
Где ключ от квартиры?
Я оставила его на столе.
Его там нет.
Посмотри под столом.
Ничего.
В кармане его тоже нет.
Ой, он в моей сумке.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time! How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Парень и девушка разговаривают.
Когда парень рисует? Ты рисуешь каждый день?
Да, с 9 утра до 7 вечера.
С 9 до 7? 10 часов?
Да, это моя работа.
Когда парень рисует? Парень и девушка разговаривают. Когда парень рисует? Ты рисуешь каждый день?
Да, с 9 утра до 7 вечера.
С 9 до 7? 10 часов?
Да, это моя работа.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мужчина и женщина разговаривают о дизайне визитной карточки своей компании. Какой дизайн они выбрали?
У нас есть несколько новых дизайнов для визитной карточки компании. Какой из них вы считаете лучшим?
Давайте посмотрим. Я думаю, что название компании должно быть больше.
Хорошо. Тогда это должен быть один из этих.
Верно. Они мне нравятся, потому что название компании большое и в самом верху.
Один из дизайнов предусматривает место для фотографии. Что вы думаете об этом?
Я думаю, что это делает текст слишком маленьким.
Да, возможно, текст будет немного трудно читать с фотографией.
Хорошо, тогда давайте предыдущий. Какой дизайн они выбрали? Мужчина и женщина разговаривают о дизайне визитной карточки своей компании. Какой дизайн они выбрали?
У нас есть несколько новых дизайнов для визитной карточки компании. Какой из них вы считаете лучшим?
Давайте посмотрим. Я думаю, что название компании должно быть больше.
Хорошо. Тогда это должен быть один из этих.
Верно. Они мне нравятся, потому что название компании большое и в самом верху.
Один из дизайнов предусматривает место для фотографии. Что вы думаете об этом?
Я думаю, что это делает текст слишком маленьким.
Да, возможно, текст будет немного трудно читать с фотографией.
Хорошо, тогда давайте предыдущий.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мужчина разговаривает с женщиной о плане своей поездки. Когда он вернется домой? Ты ведь уезжаешь на следующей неделе?
Да, во вторник я уезжаю в Лондон. Я буду там 2 дня.
Потом ты поедешь в Париж?
Да, я собираюсь в Париж в четверг и останусь там на ночь, а потом я вернусь домой.
Значит, ты можешь присоединиться к встрече в субботу, верно?
Да, могу.
Когда он вернется домой? Мужчина разговаривает с женщиной о плане своей поездки. Когда он вернется домой? Ты ведь уезжаешь на следующей неделе?
Да, во вторник я уезжаю в Лондон. Я буду там 2 дня.
Потом ты поедешь в Париж?
Да, я собираюсь в Париж в четверг и останусь там на ночь, а потом я вернусь домой.
Значит, ты можешь присоединиться к встрече в субботу, верно?
Да, могу.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Человек заказывает пиццу по телефону. Что он собирается заказать? Служба доставки пиццы. Спасибо за ваш звонок.
Здравствуйте. Могу я заказать пиццу с чесноком и помидорами?
Пицца с чесноком и помидорами. Окей. Какой размер?
Большой размер, пожалуйста. И, пожалуйста, порежьте ее на 8 кусочков.
Конечно. Хотите что-нибудь еще?
Да. Еще я возьму 4 хлебные палочки и 2 банки колы.
Хорошо. Мы доставим все через 40 минут. Что он собирается заказать? Человек заказывает пиццу по телефону. Что он собирается заказать? Служба доставки пиццы. Спасибо за ваш звонок.
Здравствуйте. Могу я заказать пиццу с чесноком и помидорами?
Пицца с чесноком и помидорами. Окей. Какой размер?
Большой размер, пожалуйста. И, пожалуйста, порежьте ее на 8 кусочков.
Конечно. Хотите что-нибудь еще?
Да. Еще я возьму 4 хлебные палочки и 2 банки колы.
Хорошо. Мы доставим все через 40 минут.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. Hi everyone, I'm Gabriella. How are your Russian listening skills? In this video, you'll have a chance to test them out with a quiz. First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end. Are you ready?
Мужчина ищет подарок на день рождения своей жены в ювелирном магазине. Какое ожерелье он собирается купить? Могу я вам помочь?
Я ищу подарок на день рождения своей жены. Что бы вы посоветовали?
Так, как насчет этого ожерелья?
Оно выглядит немного длинным.
А что насчет вон тех? У нас есть одно с подвеской в виде цветка и другое с сердцем.
Я ищу что-нибудь более изысканное. Сколько стоит вот это жемчужное ожерелье?
Оно стоит 300 тысяч рублей.
Это слишком дорого. Хорошо, я возьму первое.
Конечно. Вот, пожалуйста. Какое ожерелье он собирается купить? Мужчина ищет подарок на день рождения своей жены в ювелирном магазине. Какое ожерелье он собирается купить? Могу я вам помочь?
Я ищу подарок на день рождения своей жены. Что бы вы посоветовали?
Так, как насчет этого ожерелья?
Оно выглядит немного длинным.
А что насчет вон тех? У нас есть одно с подвеской в виде цветка и другое с сердцем.
Я ищу что-нибудь более изысканное. Сколько стоит вот это жемчужное ожерелье?
Оно стоит 300 тысяч рублей.
Это слишком дорого. Хорошо, я возьму первое.
Конечно. Вот, пожалуйста.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мужчина и женщина говорят о принтерах в офисе. Где находится старый принтер?
Где мы должны поставить новый принтер?
Я думаю, что мы должны поставить его там, где сейчас находится старый.
Но старый принтер еще работает. Мы собираемся продолжать его использовать.
Хорошо, мы не можем поставить там новый.
Очень плохо. Было бы хорошо иметь новый принтер на книжной полке рядом с дверью, но там есть место только для одного принтера.
Ладно, тогда я думаю, что мы должны поставить его на другом конце комнаты.
Правильно. Как насчет рядом с окном?
Звучит неплохо. Где находится старый принтер? Мужчина и женщина говорят о принтерах в офисе. Где находится старый принтер?
Где мы должны поставить новый принтер?
Я думаю, что мы должны поставить его там, где сейчас находится старый.
Но старый принтер еще работает. Мы собираемся продолжать его использовать.
Хорошо, мы не можем поставить там новый.
Очень плохо. Было бы хорошо иметь новый принтер на книжной полке рядом с дверью, но там есть место только для одного принтера.
Ладно, тогда я думаю, что мы должны поставить его на другом конце комнаты.
Правильно. Как насчет рядом с окном?
Звучит неплохо.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Мужчина разговаривает с женой по телефону. Что он собирается купить?
Эй, я уже иду домой.
Хорошо, не мог бы ты кое-что купить по дороге домой?
Конечно. Что ты хочешь, чтобы я взял?
Нам нужно на завтрак молоко и хлеб.
Молоко и хлеб. Понял. Сколько пакетов молока?
Одного достаточно.
Хорошо. Что-нибудь еще?
Одну секунду. Я сейчас проверю, есть ли у нас масло. Хорошо, у нас есть немного.
Отлично. А пиво у нас осталось?
Да, у нас еще есть бутылка.
Хорошо. Значит, прямо сейчас не нужно покупать.
Верно. Думаю, что это все. Что он собирается купить? Мужчина разговаривает с женой по телефону. Что он собирается купить?
Эй, я уже иду домой.
Хорошо, не мог бы ты кое-что купить по дороге домой?
Конечно. Что ты хочешь, чтобы я взял?
Нам нужно на завтрак молоко и хлеб.
Молоко и хлеб. Понял. Сколько пакетов молока?
Одного достаточно.
Хорошо. Что-нибудь еще?
Одну секунду. Я сейчас проверю, есть ли у нас масло. Хорошо, у нас есть немного.
Отлично. А пиво у нас осталось?
Да, у нас еще есть бутылка.
Хорошо. Значит, прямо сейчас не нужно покупать.
Верно. Думаю, что это все.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. Hi everyone, I'm Gabriella. How are your Russian listening skills? In this video, you'll have a chance to test them out with a quiz. First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end. Are you ready?
Женщина спрашивает мужчину, где находится автобусная остановка. Где находится автобусная остановка? Простите, вы не знаете, здесь рядом есть автобусная остановка?
Да. Идите прямо и на втором светофоре поверните направо. Затем на углу книжного магазина поверните налево, и вы увидите банк. Автобусная остановка находится перед банком.
Поняла. Большое спасибо. Где находится автобусная остановка? Женщина спрашивает мужчину, где находится автобусная остановка. Где находится автобусная остановка? Простите, вы не знаете, здесь рядом есть автобусная остановка?
Да. Идите прямо и на втором светофоре поверните направо. Затем на углу книжного магазина поверните налево, и вы увидите банк. Автобусная остановка находится перед банком.
Поняла. Большое спасибо.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Женщина разговаривает со своим начальником. Что они будут пить на встрече?
У нас будет встреча с Майклом из нашего офиса в Нью-Йорке после обеда. Вы не знаете, остались ли какие-нибудь напитки?
У нас есть немного кофе.
Майкл не пьет кофе. Есть ли у нас какая-нибудь бутилированная вода?
Да, я думаю, что еще что-то осталось.
Отлично. Очень хорошо.
Вы хотите что-то другое?
Нет, я буду то же самое.
Что они будут пить на встрече? Женщина разговаривает со своим начальником. Что они будут пить на встрече?
У нас будет встреча с Майклом из нашего офиса в Нью-Йорке после обеда. Вы не знаете, остались ли какие-нибудь напитки?
У нас есть немного кофе.
Майкл не пьет кофе. Есть ли у нас какая-нибудь бутилированная вода?
Да, я думаю, что еще что-то осталось.
Отлично. Очень хорошо.
Вы хотите что-то другое?
Нет, я буду то же самое.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Вы слушаете прогноз погоды. Какой прогноз? Утром нас ожидает солнечная погода. Однако в обед будет облачно, а ночью пойдет дождь. Дождь будет продолжаться всю ночь до следующего утра, до восхода солнца. Какой прогноз? Вы слушаете прогноз погоды. Какой прогноз? Утром нас ожидает солнечная погода. Однако в обед будет облачно, а ночью пойдет дождь. Дождь будет продолжаться всю ночь до следующего утра до восхода солнца.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time! How are your Russian listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
Женщина разговаривает с персоналом магазина. Какой ноутбук она собирается купить? Простите, я ищу очень легкий ноутбук.
Хорошо. Как насчет этого? Он очень тонкий и легкий.
Выглядит неплохо. Можно ли смотреть DVD на этом ноутбуке?
Боюсь, что нет. Вы можете смотреть DVD на том, но он немного больше и тяжелее.
Этот слишком тяжелый. Я куплю первый.
Огромное спасибо. Вы можете выбрать белый, черный или серебристый.
Я хочу черный. Какой ноутбук она собирается купить? Женщина разговаривает с персоналом магазина. Какой ноутбук она собирается купить? Простите, я ищу очень легкий ноутбук.
Хорошо. Как насчет этого? Он очень тонкий и легкий.
Выглядит неплохо. Можно ли смотреть DVD на этом ноутбуке?
Боюсь, что нет. Вы можете смотреть DVD на том, но он немного больше и тяжелее.
Этот слишком тяжелый. Я куплю первый.
Огромное спасибо. Вы можете выбрать белый, черный или серебристый.
Я хочу черный.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time!
Expand your vocabulary with our core 2,000 words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Russian ebook before it's gone.